Hey everybody, it's Pineapple, and today we're actually going to be talking about My Hero Academia Vigilantes and Dabi, and how it could possibly relate to the future of Dabi's character, the final fate actually of Dabi's character in the world. And it comes from an unlikely source, which of course, like I said, is Vigilantes. So with Vigilantes ending, I'm farming it for anything that could be relevant in the series, and there's something that could very well tease where Dabi's story is going. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the parallels. Let's talk about how things are the same. Yeah, just a few things I want to say. Obviously, if you guys subscribe, we have a lot of new viewers lately, so if you guys hit the subscribe button, we would hit 300k, which I'm trying to hit by the end of the year. And a reminder that you can click the link in my description and get a free sample of gamer subs. With that said, we're going to be diving right in to talk about this after that intro. Hit it! So you may know that a lot of people believe it's possible that Dabi has a Phoenix-style quirk, right? That maybe he burned up at Shoto Peak. Maybe his body is able to heal from his burns if he burns himself enough, right? In some sort of weird way. And maybe that happened again after he left the doctor's place, right? At some future point, and that's how he got all the scars that he has now. But honestly, could the truth be even more frightening? That's what we're here to discuss, folks. So, Shigaraki's body in My Hero Academia has fused with the ability to generate more hands and fingers, right? We've seen that. If you've been keeping up with My Hero Academia, you know that Shigaraki has pretty much stated that he is the epitome of the Quirk Singularity Theory, right? That his quirk has reached singularity, and that allows him to use all the hands and pretty much grow all the stuff that he's doing right now. And if you ask me which quirk has reached singularity, I would think that it's the regeneration quirk, right? That's kind of baked into his body to a certain extent because he's regenerated so many times now. So I think that the regeneration quirk, which is theoretically an older quirk than All for One's, right? Like if the Doctor met All for One before All for One was immortal, because All for One is immortal because he met the Doctor and the Doctor was already old at that point, then the Doctor is technically older than All for One and would have a quirk from generations before All for One's quirk, like even before that old quirk. So you have to assume that like that quirk has had time passing through all the ages to reach the singularity point, and it's finally reaching that point with Shigaraki, right? So I believe Shigaraki's regeneration quirk has reached singularity. I think it'll be really interesting to see if any of the other quirks within All for One reach the singularity point and fuse in the Shigaraki's body so that they can't be stopped by Aizawa's quirk. That would be really dangerous, actually, especially if Decay is one of those quirks, which it shouldn't be because it's a more recent quirk. You never know with some quirks, you know what I mean? Like, you never know. I wouldn't put it past Horikoshi to have that happen. So again, this is a result of a quirk perfectly fusing with its host. And when I saw that happen, obviously, Shigaraki was the first time, but I started to question whether or not that was true, right? Like, if we'd seen that anywhere else. So I started scrubbing through all the My Hero Academia media that there is, the spin-offs and everything, the novels, and I ended up finding in My Hero Academia Vigilantes a very similar incident. But to explain it, I have to tell you a little bit of a story. In My Hero Academia, there is this character named Number 6, right? And Number 6 is pretty much a all-for-one generated human, right? It seems like that's the case, right? That he was created in a test tube to pretty much be part of the Nomu program, right? My theory, and I don't think this is 100% confirmed, but my theory is that the Nomu program has very much been laid out to us with like Nomu and stuff, and I guess like the pre-Nomu stuff that we see in Vigilantes being the base level. Then there's the Nomu, then there's Number 6, then there's 9, and then there's Shigaraki, which is 10, right? Tenko. So the reason for me thinking that is obviously the Nomu are their attempt at housing multiple quirks in one body, right? Then Number 6 would be like a farther step up from that, where they literally create a person that they're going to give a quirk to try to make them a vessel for All for One by like giving them all the hatred and everything that they need to be the perfect vessel for him, right? Then from there we have a step up where we take an actual person that already exists who just wants to have the All for One quirk and see if we can give that to them using the quirk surgery that we know that Shigaraki was given. Like, not a completed version of that surgery, but using a very similar version of that surgery, and then putting 9 in a pod just like you did Shigaraki and giving him a copy of All for One instead of like the full version of All for One like you gave Shigaraki later on, and seeing how that would affect him as a kind of experiment for what you're going to do to Shigaraki later. And then obviously as 10, you have Shigaraki, which is like the perfected form of the Nomu program, right? Of the All for One Vessel program, which is what I like to call the Nomu program, because that's really what it is, right? The Nomu that they have in the high ends are really just kind of a byproduct of a process, I believe, to pretty much make another vessel for All for One. And in the middle of that process, you have number 6, who is a person who was created by All for One, it seems, and very, very early on, when he had no quirk or anything, after a life of solitude, pretty much being kept inside and only being able to watch TV, All for One told number 6, hey, pick a quirk. And he had a big wall of screens with all sort of different heroes, right? Every hero you can think of was on the screen. And he said, pick a quirk. I'll get it for you. And you can be a hero. Like, I'll go get that quirk for you right now. Do you know how spoiled that makes you? If you could just go like, I want Endeavor's quirk. You know what I mean? That might have saved some lives. I want, All Might. No, we don't even know what his quirk is. Mirko. No, what would she look like without the quirk? Okay, I will take, oh man, this would take me forever, right? Who would you pick? Whose quirk would you pick if someone was just like, hey, pick one of the pro heroes in My Hero Academia. You have their power now. Give me 30 minutes. I'll be right back with it. I'll send Makia. He'll do a quick run. You know, he'll destroy a couple talents real quick to go get to go bring back Mirko. You want Mirko's quirk, right? Come on. Who doesn't want to be a bunny man? Like, come on. She's kind of wasting that. You could look so cool. You could have a scarf. You could like transform when the moon happens. It could be really awesome. But of course, we know that number 6 ends up picking O'Clock, which is a hero found in My Hero Academia Vigilantes. It's one of the main characters actually in the series to a certain extent. So O'Clock has a quirk where he runs extremely fast, but really is explained as like electrical impulses and all that kind of stuff in the body and in the brain and perception and stuff like that, right? So with number 6 in Vigilantes, we see this instance where he actually fuses together with the cells in his quirk, right? Because he has this quirk that he's given where he's able to pretty much turn cells in his body into bombs, right? And he overloads that quirk and pretty much fuses with it and turns his body into a being of pure energy, right? And that is a very, very interesting concept in the world of My Hero Academia because it's very, very similar to the idea of a quirk singularity, right? Number 6 managed to perfectly fuse with his quirk, so much so that, spoilers by the way, for My Hero Academia Vigilantes, you might want to skip forward like a minute, right? So much so that in My Hero Academia Vigilantes, when that character dies, when that character is canonically dead, his body and his consciousness is still able to continue on as this living being of plasma for a while, right? For a little short while. So that makes me wonder if the same sort of thing could happen with another character in My Hero Academia. And the thing that further makes me think that is, it's stated to a certain extent that the thing holding number 6 to this world is his hatred, right? And I don't believe that to a certain extent. I think more so like what is holding him to this world is he's a person who never left his mark on the world, he feels like. And he wants to leave something behind so that he can be acknowledged maybe at some point, maybe in the future, even after he's gone. He wants to leave a mark on the world that can prove that he was here, right? And that is where it started to really click to me. That really reminded me of Dabi and Dabi's like undying hatred, which I feel like is keeping him alive, which is kind of the Doctor's explanation for one of the reasons that Dabi is still alive, right? His undying rage and hatred and need for vengeance, and also that underlying absolute need of being acknowledged and needing to leave a mark by getting rid of everything that Endeavor loves, so that Endeavor will have to acknowledge him even when he's gone. He'll have to remember that Dabi was here. He'll have to know, you know what I mean? Dabi, pretty much no pain is kind of what Dabi is going for, you know what I mean? Even if I'm gone, I want you to remember that I was here because I ruined everything you hold dear. And I feel like that's definitely kind of what number 6 was on in My Hero Academia, but both of them just want to leave a mark on this world somehow, right? And I think that is a very, very interesting parallel. And I also think that the parallels have a chance of going further, right? Because what if Dabi doesn't necessarily have a Phoenix quirk, right? What if, despite the fact that Dabi's body can burn away and everything, could he, like number 6, become a living embodiment of his quirk, right? Pretty much, could his quirk reach singularity and perfectly fuse with his body? Because if that happens, like number 6, does Dabi then become a living flame, right? Like a living being of flame and hatred, just burning and kind of like puppeting the body of Dabi, or like until it's cinders, and then it's just like literally a walking flame with a smile and an evil presence. I think that would be very, very interesting. And I think that aspect of Dabi's quirk could be something that would explain some of the things that are kind of like a mystery right now about Dabi, right? And I guess my biggest question in this video is going to be, how would Dabi be defeated in that state, right? Like, if he is literally just a flame elemental, there's like a person-shaped flame walking around, and that's all the fire there is. It is a living embodiment of Dabi's quirk, and it can like spread fire, it can shoot fire out, create fire, move into the flames that it's shooting, you know what I mean? That is kind of like regeneration to a certain extent. Like, if you're just so what if you defeated the main body? Anywhere where there are blue flames right now on fire is where the consciousness of this Dabi could go to, right? Because he is fusing perfectly with this quirk. So I think we could see some really, really nutty stuff if that happens. I know it sounds kind of ridiculous, but a year ago, if I told you that Shigaraki was just suddenly growing fingers out of his body and massive waves of hands, and he wouldn't be able to stop by Aizawa or anyone copying Aizawa's quirk to shut Shigaraki down, even together, you wouldn't have believed me. So sometimes the outlandish crazy stuff is the stuff that it seems like is going to happen in the series. And now that Shigaraki's quirk has reached singularity, I really, really feel like the gloves are all off, right? And we really could see some interesting stuff before the ending of the series. So do you think Dabi and his final fate was foreshadowed in this part of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, where number 6 has this weird kind of living energy being transformation? And do you think that that could be mirrored in My Hero Academia with Dabi turning into a living flame elemental? And on top of that, of course, how do you think he would be defeated? I know it's easy to say use ice, use water, or use all this stuff against him, but again, he pretty much stalemated with Getten, which was an amazing, crazy ice user who could control the temperature of his ice and everything. Like, I think Getten was kind of the ruler for like the best ice user in the series. Maybe Shoto can overcome him and find some way, maybe like a crazy steam release or something like that. But I think if we do see Dabi going into this kind of weird flame elemental form, some people are going to get burned really badly forever. So I'm interested to see where this story goes. That is my theory, I guess, for Dabi's flame quirk and what it is if it's not a phoenix quirk. And yeah, this is Pineapple. I'll see you guys later. Peace.